A while back, I interviewed a guy named Robert who left California and moved abroad. Today, he lives in a beautiful high-rise apartment for around $500 a month with a view of the sea right from his balcony. And he told me this: why did I wait so long? At over 50 years old, he feels alive again. He's making new friends, starting a business, even dating. And he talks about his new life with this almost giddy excitement, like he's waking up every morning on vacation. And here's what's interesting: his country isn't even number one on our list today. Welcome back to Adventure Freaks. I'm Ray, and today I'm sharing with you the 5 countries that make retirement feel like a vacation. We're talking about countries with breathtaking scenery, beaches and mountains, incredible places to explore, affordable living, quality healthcare, and most importantly, a lifestyle that gives you a reason to get up every morning, excited about what the day might bring. And you'll want to stick around until the end because the number one pick might be the closest thing we've found to having an entire vacation bucket list right outside your front door. Now let's dive in. Hi, can Ernest and I ask you a favor? If you find our content helpful, please hit that subscribe and like button. It truly helps us grow, and it makes Ernest happy. Coming in at number 5 is Peru. Peru is one of those countries where the scenery alone can make every day feel like a vacation. You've got the towering Andes, lush green valleys, Pacific beaches, dramatic desert landscapes, and the Amazon rainforest, all within one country. And what makes Peru especially appealing for retirees is that some of its most beautiful and fascinating places are also surprisingly affordable. Now, I can't talk about Peru without starting with its capital, Lima, where the city sits dramatically along the cliffs overlooking the Pacific Ocean. Neighborhoods like Miraflores offer miles of waterfront parks, restaurants, and cafes with incredible ocean views. Depending on the neighborhood and the type of apartment you're looking for, rentals can range from around $600 to $1,200 per month. Then there's Arequipa, the beautiful white city surrounded by mountains and towering volcanoes. Its historic center is filled with colonial architecture, plazas, cafes, and restaurants. And outside the city, you have hiking, spectacular mountain scenery, and places like Colca Canyon to explore. Here you can find nice rentals starting from $250 to $500 per month. Head into the Andes and you have Cusco, the former capital of the Inca Empire. Ancient Inca stonework, Spanish colonial architecture, colorful markets, and centuries of history make simply walking around the city feel like you're sightseeing. And nearby are Urubamba and the Sacred Valley, where you're surrounded by enormous green mountains, traditional villages with ancient Inca sites, with Machu Picchu practically in your backyard, and this entire region can be remarkably affordable. In Cusco and communities throughout the Sacred Valley, rentals can start around $200 to $500 per month. And we also have to talk about the food because Peru has one of the best food scenes in Latin America. From fresh ceviche and lomo saltado to incredible seafood and traditional Peruvian dishes, food is a big part of the experience here. And eating out can be remarkably affordable. At small local restaurants, you can order Menu del Dia or the lunch menu, usually including a starter, a main dish like chicken with rice or another local specialty, and a drink for $3 to $5. For healthcare, many foreign retirees use the private system. Lima has the country's largest concentration of modern private hospitals and specialists, while Arequipa and Cusco also offer private healthcare. Private health insurance can run roughly $100 to $300 per month, depending on your age, provider, and level of coverage. And for retirees looking to stay long-term, Peru makes that relatively easy. Its rentista resident visa requires just $1,000 a month in qualifying permanent income from outside the country, making it one of the more accessible retirement residency options in Latin America. With incredible scenery, endless places to explore, and an affordable lifestyle, Peru can make retirement feel like an everyday vacation. So have you chosen your destination and are ready to take the next step toward living abroad? Now comes the hard part, navigating the immigration process. What documents do you need? Which ones require apostilles or certified translations? What are the residency requirements? What steps need to happen first? And how do you avoid costly mistakes that can delay your move? That's where we come in. At Adventure Freaks, we've partnered with trusted vetted immigration attorneys and residency experts in countries around the world to help make your transition abroad as smooth as possible. Simply visit adventurefreaksss.com, scroll down to where you see Your Move Abroad, and click on the Trusted Legal Advisor. You'll answer a few quick questions and schedule a free consultation to discuss your specific situation and goals. Check it out at adventurefreaksss.com. We're here to help you throughout your journey on moving abroad. Now let's get back to the video. And coming in at number 4 is Slovenia. And Slovenia may be one of the most overlooked beautiful countries in all of Europe. You've got the snow-capped Julian Alps, turquoise rivers, crystal clear lakes, medieval towns, castles, forests, and even a beautiful stretch of coastline along the Adriatic Sea. And because Slovenia is relatively small, you can experience an incredible amount without traveling very far. Start with Ljubljana, one of Europe's most charming small capitals. A river runs right through the historic center, lined with cafes, restaurants, and beautiful architecture. While Ljubljana Castle sits above the city, it's walkable, relaxed, and gives you the culture of a European capital without feeling overwhelming. Rentals in Ljubljana generally run from $750 to $1,300 per month, depending on the size and location. And then there's Lake Bled, surrounded by mountains and forests, with its famous little island sitting in the middle of the lake. Head farther into the Julian Alps and you have the Triglav National Park, where you can spend your days hiking, cycling, kayaking, or simply enjoying some of the most spectacular scenery in Europe. And if you'd like to bring your housing costs down, take a look at Maribor, Slovenia's second largest city. You still get a beautiful historic center, cafes, vineyards, and easy access to the mountains. And rentals can range from roughly $450 to $800 a month. And that's really the beauty of the lifestyle here. You can spend one day wandering through a medieval town, the next hiking in the Alps, another exploring wine country, and then head down to the Adriatic coast for the weekend. Slovenia packs an incredible amount into one little country. Healthcare is another big advantage. Slovenia has a well-developed public healthcare system, along with private clinics, and private health insurance can run roughly $90 to $200 per month, depending on your age and coverage. For American retirees looking to stay long-term, a commonly used option is Slovenia's temporary resident permit under other justified reasons. You'll need health insurance and proof that you can support yourself financially. The official minimum is relatively low, but showing around $1,000 to $1,500 per month in reliable income or available funds gives you a safer range to work with. So if your idea of retirement includes mountains, lakes, castles, vineyards, beautiful old towns, and weekends along the Adriatic, Slovenia gives you an incredible amount of Europe to experience without ever having to travel very far from home. Coming in at number 3 is Panama. Panama is filled with tropical beaches, lush rainforests, Caribbean islands, mountain towns, and 2 completely different coastlines. The Caribbean on one side and the Pacific on the other. For retirees who love being outdoors and exploring, there's an incredible amount to experience here. Start with Panama City, where one of the most modern skylines in Latin America sits right along the Pacific Ocean. But just minutes away is Casco Viejo, the city's remarkable historic old town filled with colorful colonial buildings, beautiful plazas, old churches, rooftop restaurants, and narrow streets perfect for exploring on foot. Rentals in Panama City can range from roughly $650 to $1,400 per month. Then head into the mountains of Boquete, where the temperature cools down to 70 degrees year-round and the scenery completely changes. You're surrounded by lush mountains, waterfalls, coffee farms, and miles of hiking trails. Boquete has become the artistic hub in Panama, with rentals ranging from $650 to $1,200 per month. And then you have the islands. And this is where Panama can really start to feel like a vacation. Bocas del Toro gives you turquoise Caribbean water, tropical beaches, and incredible snorkeling. Water taxis take you between the islands, so you can spend the day discovering beaches, snorkeling a reef, grabbing lunch on another island, and then boating back home. Rentals can range from roughly $500 to $1,000 per month here. And if you want even more adventure, Bocas is a great place to learn to scuba dive. You can earn your open water certification in 3 days and suddenly have an entirely new world of reefs and tropical marine life to explore beneath the surface. Then there's the San Blas Islands. Hundreds of tiny Caribbean islands and cays surrounded by crystal clear water. You can take a boat from island to island, snorkel, swim, picnic on tiny tropical beaches, spend time on virtually uninhabited islands, or stay overnight and continue exploring the next day. Day trips from Panama City can start around $110. Everyday living can be affordable too at small local restaurants called fondas. A traditional meal with rice, beans, chicken or fish, and plantains can cost around $4 to $7. For healthcare, Panama City has excellent private hospitals and specialists. Private health insurance can range from roughly $100 to $300 per month. And Panama's Pensionado Visa is one of Latin America's best-known retirement programs. You'll generally need a lifetime pension of at least $1,000 per month, and qualifying retirees receive discounts on things like entertainment, transportation, flights, hotels, and certain medical services. Imagine being retired and having Caribbean islands, tropical beaches, snorkeling and mountain trails close enough that instead of planning your next vacation, you're simply deciding what you want to do this weekend. And coming in at number 2 is the Philippines. And if your idea of retirement looks like a tropical vacation, the Philippines is difficult to beat. The country is made up of more than 7,000 islands with turquoise water, white sand beaches, coral reefs, waterfalls, tropical forests, and dramatic mountains. You could spend years living here and still have new islands to discover. One of the best places for retirees is Dumaguete, a laid-back university city sitting right along the sea. It's affordable, English is widely spoken, and you have restaurants, cafes, and everyday conveniences while still being surrounded by incredible places to explore. Rentals here can range from $300 to $700 per month. From Dumaguete, you can take short trips to Apo Island, famous for its sea turtles, coral reefs, and incredible snorkeling. Or head into the mountains to discover waterfalls, hot springs, and hiking trails. And then there's Palawan, one of the most breathtaking parts of the Philippines. Picture enormous limestone cliffs rising straight out of the turquoise water, hidden lagoons, pristine beaches, coral reefs, and tropical islands scattered across the sea. This is the Philippines you see on postcards, and you can actually make it your home. Two of the most spectacular areas are El Nido and Coron. You can spend your days island hopping by boat, snorkeling hidden lagoons, diving among coral reefs and shipwrecks, or discovering secluded beaches that are only accessible from the water. And you don't need a huge retirement income to live here. Around El Nido, long-term rentals can range from roughly $200 for something very basic to around $500 for a comfortable apartment. And that's one of the biggest reasons the Philippines ranks number 2. It's the most affordable country on our list. For budget-conscious retirees, your income can stretch considerably further, leaving you with more money to actually get out and start exploring all those islands. Even eating out can be incredibly inexpensive. At local eateries, you can find traditional Filipino dishes like chicken adobo, grilled fish, and rice meals for around $2 to $5. For healthcare, Manila and Cebu have some of the country's best private hospitals and specialists. Private health insurance can range roughly from $100 to $300 per month, depending on your age and coverage. And staying long-term can be surprisingly simple. Many American retirees use the tourist visa extension system. Americans can initially enter visa-free and continue extending their stay while in the country up to 3 years without having to prove retirement income. When island hopping, snorkeling, turquoise waters, and discovering a new tropical beach can become part of your normal week, and you can actually afford to enjoy it, the Philippines is about as close as a retirement gets to living on a tropical vacation. And finally, coming in at number 1 is Italy. When you think about everything you could possibly want from a dream vacation, Italy somehow manages to put almost all of it into one country. You have the snow-capped Dolomites and the Italian Alps, spectacular lakes, rolling Tuscan countryside, hundreds of miles of Mediterranean coastline, beautiful beaches, and some of the most breathtaking towns and villages in all of Europe. And then there's Rome. Rome is basically an open-air museum. You could live here for years, head out every morning to explore something new and still feel like you've barely scratched the surface. You can walk inside the Colosseum, wander through the ruins of the Roman Forum, visit the Pantheon, throw a coin into the Trevi Fountain, or cross into Vatican City and stand inside the magnificent St. Peter's Basilica. And between all of that are beautiful piazzas, fountains, churches, and streets where you'll stumble across something that's been standing for hundreds or even thousands of years. And that's Italy in a nutshell. In fact, Italy has more UNESCO World Heritage Sites than any other country in the world. Then there's Venice, where you explore by foot or boat, crossing little bridges, wandering along canals, and discovering beautiful squares and churches. Or head north to Lake Como, surrounded by mountains and beautiful villages, where you can hop on a ferry and spend your day exploring different towns along the lake. Head south to Sicily, Calabria, and Puglia, and you'll find some spectacular crystal clear beaches, hidden coves, and sea caves. You can snorkel, swim, take boat trips along the coast, or spend the day discovering a completely new beach. Sicily is especially remarkable. You have Mount Etna towering over the landscape, beautiful coastal towns and cities like Catania, where its spectacular cathedral sits in the heart of the historic center that's part of the UNESCO World Heritage Site. And this is also where Italy becomes much more affordable. In smaller cities and towns throughout Sicily, Calabria, and Puglia, rentals can range from roughly $400 to $850 per month. And then there's the food. Fresh pasta, pizza, seafood. Local markets are simply part of everyday life. You can still sit down at a local restaurant and enjoy an incredible plate of fresh pasta for around $10-15. Healthcare is another major advantage. Italy has an excellent healthcare system, and retirees can budget roughly $2,000 a year for healthcare coverage. And for Americans looking to retire here, Italy offers the elective residence visa. You'll generally want to show around $35,000 a year in passive income or a pension for a single applicant. And that's why Italy takes our #1 spot. You could spend years exploring Italy and still never see it all. When history, incredible food, mountains, lakes, beaches, and new places to discover are simply part of everyday life, Italy may be the closest thing there is to spending your retirement on one never-ending vacation. So there you have it, Peru, Slovenia, Panama, the Philippines, and Italy. 5 countries where retirement really can feel like a vacation. Now let me know in the comments which one you'd choose. And if you enjoyed the video, please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, and consider becoming a member by selecting Join below. It truly helps us continue bringing you videos like this. And if you're ready to take that leap and need a little help or guidance getting started, head over to adventurefreaksss.com. And as always, thank you for viewing. I'm Ray with Adventure Freaks, showing you how to live your best life abroad.